The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everyone. This is TAC. I'm Garrett, joined as always by Jocelyn, and we are also joined today by the returning Slysssa, which, Slysssa, I think you now own the title of the most, the quickest returning guest in the history of the show.
I know, we just did this.
We did. And then you, and then something happened.
It was a whole different storyline last time.
It was a complete, you're damn right. Yeah. Unbeknownst to everyone on the podcast last time you were on, you since we last spoke, you went to the Battlegrounds Brawl. You completely destroyed, and then Joss and I were talking last week, and we're like, would it be weird if we just asked Slysssa if she wanted to come back on and talk about that experience? We usually have a little bit longer of a break between guests, but we're just like, screw it, why not? She can always say no. So.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's just kind of crazy how different things are, I guess. But
yeah, and you weren't on last episode, you were on the episode before that. So just in 2 weeks' time, so much has changed. So thank you for coming back on. We're stoked to talk to you today about what that entire experience even was like. So rad. And I don't know, folks that listen sometimes feel point this out and they like it when we do this, but it's going to be another kind of Battlegrounds heavy episode. We're going to also have some speculative thoughts now that it's July, and considering the history of Hearthstone announcements,
yes.
I think we're officially in the pre-expansion 2 lull. Teases should start soon because we got, Saviors of Uldum was announced in July last year. So we're going to have some of that as well. But if you're one of those only Battlegrounds players, going to be a great episode for you. If you're one of those never Battlegrounds players, it's going to be a little BG heavy for you. So just letting you know, everybody.
But it's okay. We got some constructed stuff coming up next week, though.
We do. So we're just going to keep the guest train rolling. Ridiculous Hat will be joining us for next week's episode. And we're going to continue the kind of pre-expansion talk. And we're going to have a pretty heavy discussion on where we would like to see the constructed meta go, and kind of also where it is right now, and have a big speculation session. It's going to be a fun chat with Hat. So tune in next week for that. Before we get into the meat of the show, we also want to thank those of you supporting us over on the Patreon. Check out patreon.com/TAC to support the show, get access to the Discord, ad-free episodes, all kinds of perks for you over there. And to our most recent patron, we'd like to thank Robert, a.k.a. Pace Fish. Thank you for the support, Robert. Or Pace, I guess, since you put it in quotations. So. But with all of that in mind, we're definitely going to talk some Battlegrounds, and let's do that right now by getting into this week's Battlegrounds segment.
Have a good battle, friend.
And Slysssa, you had a very good battle in the Battlegrounds Brawl. It was a delight. It was a nice surprise to find out that you were going to be in it.
Yeah, me too.
I was about to say, I was like, you either had the best poker face on God's green earth from the last Angry Chicken episode, or it came about pretty quickly.
Very, very fast. I was going to sleep, and as I'm falling asleep, get a text from Blizzard. They texted me, by the way. Hey, can you call us? So Blizzard texts me, can you call me? And of course, Blizzard, I will call you. And 9:30 p.m. And
Wait, you go to bed at 9:30 p.m. I feel like that's the bigger story here.
I sense a little judgment going on, Jocelyn.
I gotta get up
I
at
don't want to say old lady bedtime, but Slysssa, a little bit of an old lady bedtime.
I get judged on it, but you know, I'm a streamer and I very much try to be sorry. I try to make sure I'm in a European time zone and a American time zone. So I try to be up so that I can stream early enough to do that. So yeah, I go to bed early.
There's so much to deconstruct there. I just imagine when you say Blizzard texted that you just have a contact in your phone that it's just called Blizzard, and it pops up and it's just like Blizzard, like, yo, you want a tourney? And
It was just basically what they said. They were like, do you want to participate, or can you participate? And I was like, as a caster, like, because I'd thrown out to them in a talk I had with them that if they ever need like a caster or something, that I could do it. So at first I was like, participate in what way? Like I had to define it. Like, we like to like in the tournament, like, will you play? I'm like, okay. Like, are you making a new team? No. Oh, okay. Like I was so confused. It was one of those things, and I'm like I'm very competitive. And I'm the type of person that if I have a tournament, I will prepare as much as possible every day leading up to it. And so
in the 12 hours before.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, do I stay up all night and prepare? What do? I already took my sleeping meds. Like I'm falling asleep. So it was one of those things where I'm just like, all right, well, I hope I'm prepared. And the next morning I couldn't sleep, woke up at 4 a.m. like in a panic, like, what do I do? Because I can't tell anyone either. It was a secret. And so I'm just like, I don't know, it was crazy. Yeah.
Well, it turns out whatever you did in your Battlegrounds career leading up to that was like the best prep you could have possibly done, because you killed it, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm very much like a tournament player over a ladder player. I was the same way in standard. And so I think that helps me in a sense, but I was surprised at myself as well. And I was very proud of myself. So
You should be.
I mean, we Joss and I don't think could have been rooting for you more, because we just had the episode and it was like, I don't think I've been more bought into a Hearthstone event as like a fan and essentially a cheerleader in a like ever, because it was just, we had just had you on, we had just had the discussion about the brawl, and then I checked Twitter, I'm like, wait, Slyssa's playing? That's awesome. And
yeah, I was full on ready to like sit back there with like my snarky pants on and be like, yeah, this is fine, but like Slysssa should be there, and I'm just gonna be snarky all day, and I'm gonna pick you all apart because Slysssa should have been included. And then there you were, and I was like, snark pants off, let's go.
we just cheer. Yeah.
Yes, now I'll get my snark pants off, my cheer pants on, let's go.
Yeah, not to like just keep showering of praise or whatever, but we got a lot of really positive feedback on the episode as well. I've heard from so many folks that were just like, oh, I listened to like one or two pieces of Slyssa's advice, and I've gone up like 1,000. We heard from one person that went up like 1,500 MMR after just a few days after the episode you were on. I myself went on quite the tear just from finally starting to pick Gold Grubber.
I haven't picked him recently, and I miss him.
So Gold Grubber abandoned me like the last 2 days. I've been on the worst lose streak of this current Battlegrounds meta, and I think it's because I chased Gold Grubber a little too hard.
Yeah, that happens when the comp works for you, so you're just like, oh, I'll not always do this, and then you can't just force it. I get that.
Yeah, when I first started giving it an honest try, I had some pretty early goldens, and multiple times one of the golden discovered into a Gold Grubber, and it was just like the train leaving the station. And then I don't think I learned the right lesson. I had so many games where Gold Grubber worked out where I didn't have like a traditional comp, you know, where you have those games where you draft and you're like, well, this is just a mess.
Trash comp, yep.
This is this is just a dumpster comp. But the Gold Grubber in so many of those trash compositions pulled me through it. Like always, just eked out enough stats. So it was like this weld that held the rest of the junk on my board together. But for some reason, last 2 days, that strategy has not panned out for me.
I totally get that. Ever since the tournament, I've been chasing after Golden Hogger dreams. You can't force Golden Hogger as much as you want to because it's fun. I've had to learn that the hard way.
I mean, you can, but you can't force it and consistently win.
Right. Or get top 4. Or get 7th even. I mean, sometimes.
Fair, very fair. But yeah, so you had a little trouble sleeping. Did you just get up and then just like slam games to prepare?
So I woke up at like 4, kind of laid in bed for a while. Like, what do I do? Then I turned on RDU's VODs and started watching RDU's content because he had just hit 14,000. So I was like, he's probably a good person to watch. I also I have like a group of friends who I co-op with sometimes. And we talked about a good tournament strategy because I think talking about tournament strategy is really important. Tournaments are so different from ladder, and people who approach tournaments as they would approach ladder are making a huge misplay. So if you look at the strategy of the tournament, you got way more points for first and second, barely any points for third, 1 point for fourth. So basically getting 5th is like getting 8th. So if getting 5th is getting 8, why would you go for 4th or 3rd place? Go for first, go for second. And this is kind of like a strategy we started talking about, which is why you saw me picking heroes like Reno a lot. Like I was picking the greedy stuff. And because then you could try like find turns to kind of like hedge out like my opponent. If I got to face my teammate at a good turn, you could be like, all right, I'm going to use this turn to get really, really powerful with my greedy play. Which is what happened with my Golden Hogger strategy when I was dying as Reno very fast. Got to a Hogger. I was like, I'm going to golden this and see what happens, and just got first on the first round. So I watched some RDU VODs to kind of see if his current strategy, because in the last few days before the tournament, I hadn't been playing well on ladder. So I was really worried. And he talked a lot about his tournament strategy as well. But then after that, I got to do that for like, yeah, I used him. So then after that, I didn't have any more time because I just set up all the technology stuff, which was really challenging. You got to set up multiple cameras, multiple OBS, which is, the way you stream, so that you could feed a line into the tech crew. I set up the Discords, tried to talk to my teammates. I got to my teammates' Discord group and they had not once talked about strategy as a team. No. And I'm sitting there like, all right, guys, what did you guys plan? They're like, just have fun. And I'm like, no.
Fun is not a plan.
Yeah. So I didn't get to really study that much because honestly, it was just like all leading up to it was just like preparing the technology side and a lot of broken things. And so my nerves were crazy high because one of the things that really makes me the most anxious and salty is technology. Losing games is fine and I just kind of brush past it. But when my technology fails, I get very irritated. So that was like the most challenging thing leading up to the tournament. And I was just like on high nerves at that point because I knew going in that I'd taken the spot of not taking the spot. Someone who had a spot in the tournament no longer had it, and now I was in their spot. So there's a lot of speculation as to why. And I knew if I didn't perform well, it might not look good for me. So I think there was a lot of added pressure in that sense. So I had that all kind of in the back of my mind, like, oh gosh, I could be like really upsetting some people. But yeah, so I used that kind of power just to focus and try as hard as I could. And that worked, I guess.
Clearly, because you did quite well. And I'm glad you mentioned like your strategy in the Reno thing, because our Discord had some questions about that today. I think I even forgot to bring it in, but I'm pretty sure it was one of our Discord members, Rational Pie. I think he asked about, is that the reason you were picking Reno over other heroes that have higher average placements across the board.
Yeah, you there's like safe plays, and I took a safe hero once. I took Elise and ended up getting second with her, but it was too safe a play, honestly, to take Elise. I regretted it afterwards. I forgot what was going on because there's so much time in between rounds, and so you kind of forget what you're doing. You just think you're streaming. You're like, hey, Q, pick a hero, and you're like, oh wait, I picked that hero. She's like way too safe for this situation. I went down to 2 health very fast with her, and I was like, oh god. Somehow managed a second. I don't know. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, picking the greedy stuff is important in this sort of tournament because of the way it panned out. It wasn't based on MMR. It wasn't based on how much MMR you gained, because if that was the case, I would have played it different.
So would you like it to be any different? Like if they were to adjust the rules of the brawl, or...
I kind of liked that it was different. I like rewarding people who think out strategy. So I know not a lot of people liked in constructed specialist. I personally love specialists because it really made you think about tech cards and the way you'd format things. Now, obviously, if you just like net deck some pros specialist list, then it's not that good. But I did a Masters tournament and won on my very first try using Murloc Shaman, which no one was bringing to Masters at the time. So I teched it how I thought it would be perfect in a specialist format and won on my very first try. And I think that interesting tournaments with different types of lines as like a regular ladder is important, I guess, because it makes you think more outside of the box of how you would approach just playing standard ladder or something like that. So I liked it. I think it was cool. Was it perfect? Probably not. No, but I felt bad that 5th was the same as 8th as 0 points. Because I got 5th twice. So
So would you rather they do something along the lines of kind of like MMR where there's like both plus and minus points, or like is there anything that would change the kind of 5th to 8th experience?
The biggest issue for me was, okay, when I got 5th, I tied with 4th. Well, that 4th place got a point.
Right.
I didn't. But we got it at the same
difference
time
in the end, right? Yeah, that ended up making a big difference. Yeah.
Right. And so there was another case where I lost to my teammate. And so he got 1st and I got 3rd, and the 2nd place person died to a ghost. But so if I would have beat my teammate, I would have gotten 1st and he would have gotten 2nd, and the person who died to the ghost would have gotten 3rd. But because of that, I lost out on 2. We ended up losing out on 2 points because of the gap between 2nd and 3rd. So I think that was my biggest issue, is like tying. In your MMR, if you tie with 5th and 4th, if they tie, your MMR accounts for that. But in this tournament, it would not. So, but maybe that's a strategy-based thing where you need to keep your health high so that if you were to tie, you could think of it
come
that
out on
too.
top. Yeah.
Yeah. So, not sure.
That'd be a difficult one, especially with certain comps. High demons.
Right.
But
Yeah.
No, I don't think... Did anyone really go demons in the tournament?
I don't think it was a strategy anyone was really chasing.
not that stuck in my mind, no.
Either, but I really like big demons right now.
Especially with Hook Tusk, who's the only hero anyone wants to have a discussion about right now. Like, she can so consistently nail a big demons comp.
Yeah.
I played one before the show. It was one of my only good games the last 2 days. So it was just like, oh, I'm Hook Tusk. Demons are in. Okay, I'll go demons. But yeah, that's interesting. To me, the pirates thing was just making me laugh. Especially like I would tune into you or Firebad, and it didn't matter because you were talking to each other so often. Like I think Firebad made multiple kind of passing jokes of, pirates are kind of working out, almost like we all got the same advice to not go pirates.
Yeah, I think that was maybe why they were working for me, because no one else wanted to go them. I know Show went them as well, but Show went the same strategy as me, like go for 1st or or last. And so in the first few rounds, Show was looking really weak, but he ended up winning 2 rounds. And I think he ended up placing top 4 in the tournament because of it. And he also pulled his team from 4th to 3rd with that strategy. So
the classic Ricky Bobby Murloc strategy. That's
so.
Go ahead, Josh.
So assuming that we actually get custom 8-man lobbies at some point, which is basically what's kind of been like holding the like community tournament scene back, is because you can't really like, you can queue in with a friend, but you can't queue in with 8 friends. So how would you kind of like set up a tournament? Would you like keep track of like an MMR type system, a point system, like what we did with the Brawl? Would you like do some sort of like Swiss thing where like the best players queue into the next lobby against each other? Like, how do you see an actual Battlegrounds tournament like working?
I wonder if you could do like set up 4 different lobbies, let's say, and the top 4 get to move on and the bottom 4 move on to like a loser's bracket of lobbies. And you could do something like that. But then you'd have to fill. I'm not sure how it'd work. I think it would have to be some sort of Swiss. Yeah, it's kind of weird how it would work out.
Yeah, because to me, Battlegrounds is like a game of consistency.
Right.
I mean, a bracketed tournament would be really fun from a community aspect. Like, whenever the heck we finally get our 8-player lobbies, like, I would love to do that with like our community. That sounds fun as hell. Like,
yeah.
I just hope the third parties are ready for this, because like I cannot keep track of however many player Swiss Battlegrounds tournament in a spreadsheet or something. Like,
right. That's so true.
Get on that, Smash.
we love our community and we respect them, but this is where we lean on them and go, hey, who's really good with spreadsheets in our Discord?
Yeah.
You wanna,
who can help me run this? Yeah.
you wanna maybe step up, help us out. We'll pay you in a bye to the second round. Yeah, but that sounds fun to play in, but in terms of like actually sussing out who the better players are, I don't think that really gets you there.
I wonder if you could do like best of 3 with lobbies, like the same lobbies queuing.
I mean, all it is time,
know.
right? Like it would take a lot of time, but
right.
Were you actually paying attention to the constructed meta when we had control warriors everywhere? We were talking 3-hour Swiss rounds, dude. Like, time is like relative.
Listen, this is where I start to get excited, because I actually want to play in some Battlegrounds community tournaments. So I don't necessarily want to spend 90 minutes per round.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We did 7 rounds in the Brawl, and I was so exhausted by the last probably 3. My mental, like I was having a very hard time concentrating by the end. 7 rounds, because there's like some downtime in between, and obviously I can jam 12 hours of Battlegrounds a day, but I'm auto playing half the time, right? So if you're
it's a lot different in a tournament setting. Yeah
7 rounds is already a lot. So yeah, I think bracket would be way too hard. How do I think about it?
Yeah.
Or you'd have to spread it out over multiple days like they do with constructed tournaments, right? Like do 4 or 5 lobbies in a day, next day 4 or 5 more lobbies, then finals after that, which it'd be really easy to do a top 8 finals if you had an 8-man Battlegrounds lobby, right?
Winner takes all.
You just have to figure out how to whittle it down to those 8.
And I actually really enjoyed the teammate aspect of the tournament. It was challenging for us because 2 of our members did not stream in English, so we did not stay on call with each other during that time. But I think most other teams did. But the tournament or the teammate aspect's actually kind of fun. So that's another thing you can think about.
Was it nice to like have people to lean on in between rounds?
Yeah. So like, it was just, it was nice to chat in between rounds, obviously, just like talk about our days. And, but it was like, if you're really struggling, it's just like, yo, can you mess up your comp? And just, they would, switch everything around. I actually misplayed because I spent a whole turn trying to figure out my comp. I didn't realize I was facing my teammate and that I was way stronger than him. I should have switched my minions around. but I didn't. And so I actually misplayed in that tournament because of that. Also, I was when you're playing Rafam, that's also kind of interesting. But the thing that sucks about tournament with teammates is that twice I faced my teammate when we were top 5. Facing your teammate top 5 really sucks. So that's where you don't want that.
That's a rough situation to find yourself in for sure. I really enjoyed that too. I know there's like a little bit of that in the first brawl they did, but I feel maybe it was just me stream jumping more. Probably it was, but I feel like I got to listen to the teams talk a lot more this time around. And so there seemed to be more of a focus on watching you try to do the least amount of damage to your teammates and to each other, or even like your best bet for a tie situation. It was fascinating because it's so, I like my esports to somewhat resemble the game I play at home, but I also like there to be meaningful differences in the competitive play that I watch as a spectator.
You could also consider something like, okay, I'm going mechs and my teammate has Murlocs and we're top 5. Well, my teammate has a better chance of getting first, so I should throw. Something like that. And we had that situation with me and Firebat where he had Caligos, Nadina, Dragons, and I had Murlocs. And at that point, though, I wasn't as strong with Murlocs as I should have been. So and we're top 5 facing each other. So we kind of just said, we'll just like see what happens and see how it pans out, because we couldn't figure out like the best situation. And we ended up where I only did 4 damage to him. And that was the game we took first and second. But we had to face each other top 5, which was terrifying. Especially when you both have strong endgame comps. Yeah.
As got some nutty stuff. Getting that freaking golden hogger. What the hell?
Oh.
Oh, that was wild. So, I mean, we've still been mulling it over. We were talking with our Discord a bit today about the more semi-competitive, what do you want to call it, Battlegrounds play. I mean, would you like to? I personally, just even as a spectator, would love to see more events like this. But I'm kind of curious now that you've played in one, Slysssa, what you think. Do you think there could be more regular play, and do you think it could become more competitive? So like less about like what the individual format is and maybe how you would structure some sort of league for Battlegrounds.
It's so hard to say because like I think it could be it is competitive, right? But it's so much more relies on content right now. And I think we saw this issue with Constructed where there was a competitive scene and kind of thrown away for a content scene. If you look at the current structure, it very much more is like not as competitive as it could be because it's really hard to get into, and once you're out, you're out. And you could tell that they tried to make it more content oriented for Constructed. So that being said, Battlegrounds, I would like to see a competitive league for it. Do I think it will happen? No, I think it will still stay content oriented. But I think that if 8-player lobbies come out, I would like to see community members create maybe some tournament scenes. Kind of like there are some of that for Constructed. And I think that would be really interesting with Battlegrounds to create some like fun leagues to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for the same thing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
and kind of like on. Sorry, Garrett, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the idea of getting to play with more than one other person, like, sounds fun. Whether it's team environment or not, I'd also like to talk smack to my friend as I whoop up on them and maybe 2 other friends in the same lobby. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I thought it'd be cool to do like I'm on Team Fade to Karma. If we did like a Fade to Karma Battlegrounds event, or even like old school Omni Slash versus Fade to Karma or something like that. Like I think things like that would be really cool to have. But
I'd watch it.
Yeah, sadly right now we can't.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. I just
We
like the
tried
idea of
to.
knowing your opponents, right? And
Yeah.
strategizing against them instead of just strategizing against like the heroes that are chosen.
We've tried to do dual queues where two people queue together at the very same time as another two people, but we haven't gotten it to work yet.
Ah.
I don't know. There's technology against that, but so far it has not worked for us.
You know what that is? Is it just means there's too many people playing Battlegrounds. The mode is too successful. There's too many options in your MMR. Another thing that comes up constantly, and to get away from the competition side of things, is Battleground exclusive cards, and whether for or against it or whatever. There's a certain section of the community that really likes real, well, quote unquote, real constructed Hearthstone cards as they exist in Battlegrounds, and aren't as into Battlegrounds exclusive cards, and vice versa.
Right.
Do you have a strong feeling one way or the other?
I think obviously if the more constructed cards you have, the more easy it is to understand how the card works. I'm the type of person who doesn't know. Like, I have very bad reading comprehension skills. So when I see a card, I think it might work one way, and I don't know until I actually play it. So if you have the constructed cards, then it's just more easily accessible and understandable. But I do understand that this game is just so different than the way Standard works that not all cards work that way. So for Pirates, only one card came into play, which was South Sea Captain, I think that's his name.
Yeah, that's
and the Dragons, only one card came into play, which is the Cobalt Scalebane. If you think of what they can do in the future, totems, I don't think there's like a ton of things you can do with the current totem cards. There's a few cards I've thought about, but I think that'd be really
They're not
challenging.
as plentiful.
I've had members of my community come up with all these elemental cards that would work that are really cool. But so I feel like elemental you could use a lot of constructed cards, which I lean towards wanting that, but I do understand that in creating like what the Battlegrounds is, that would be challenging. Like for example with Pirates. They made Pirates so cool because they created this like identity for it. It's an economy based and aggro based. We buff attack and you get rewarded if you have this like economy based things with Pirates, and you couldn't really do that if you just use constructed cards. So
it's limiting is my thought. I obviously over the long history of Hearthstone, there's been things where I'm like, I would like it if they stuck to this line of thinking, but like overall, I just want them to do what I want the team to do what they think is right and the most fun, and gives them the most tools to work with. So, I like the first time I played Battlegrounds, it was really cool. Like at BlizzCon, because I was playing auto chess at the time, and it was a big surprise when it was announced. I was like, oh damn! But then I also thought about like how Dungeon Run compares to something like Slay the Spire. And I'm like, well, if it's in Hearthstone, is it really going to be as good as something like Auto Chess, right? And then I played it, and it was so cool that it was as good an experience as it was, and as deep as it was with existing constructed cards. That was really cool. That the very first damn time I sat down to play it, as someone who had played Hearthstone before, I knew what those cards did. Like you said, I didn't have to read them. I knew what they were doing. But yeah, I don't think it didn't take very long before I started. I think on the show we started talking about, they should make custom cards for this mode because it's so different from constructed.
I think we were talking specifically about Amalgam because we were just like, they're so tied to keeping the cards the same. What if they could just make this, insert change here? And, once we started talking about how you would change constructed cards to balance Battlegrounds a little bit better, then I think we got into this headspace of maybe making Battlegrounds exclusive cards is just the way forward. And I think as they add more and more things to Battlegrounds, more and more tribes, and more heroes, I think that it's really important that they kind of are able to maintain balance by changing things when they need to. So I am down for slowly rotating out all of the constructed cards that exist and replacing them with just Battlegrounds exclusive stuff that they can mess with without worrying too much about, sticking to the old constructed Hearthstone cards.
Yeah. And I know I'm not the only one here who believes this, but like I honestly can't remember which cards are from Constructed and Wild and which cards are exclusive to Battlegrounds at this point. I'm like, there's some cards I know, but some cards I can't remember if they were at one point in Standard or Constructed, or, you know, I'm just like, maybe that was part
They're
of
just
it.
Battlegrounds cards now, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Glyph Guardian a constructed dragon? Oh no, it's from Rastigon's Rumble. Okay.
Yeah, I saw it in Rasticon's Rumble, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like,
I didn't
because where this card was from.
Because I never played it.
No, me either.
I play dungeon runs and solo adventures when I fall asleep at night, so I saw it like a few weeks ago.
I played them last year.
Wait, still?
Yeah, it's easy to fall asleep to because you can rope or like kind of close your eyes, and I don't know.
I watch other people's Battlegrounds VODs when I fall asleep. But it was what, like a month ago, something came up and I was like, oh yeah, I fall asleep like listening to Firebat's VODs or whatever, and Josh started making fun of me like, you fall asleep listening to Firebat? That's a creepy thing to say.
Yeah.
I fell asleep to Asmo. It's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody understands me.
It's fine. I get that.
It's like an in-joke in the house that our youngest dog is a Firebat fan, because when she was a puppy, I was starting to get into watching his like VOD content. So yeah, there's your weird in-joke of the week here on the Angry Chicken. I hope everybody enjoys that. So yeah, I'm same with the I'm down for whatever. I don't think they need to get all the constructed cards out. Like, keep what works, get rid of what doesn't.
Right.
You know, do whatever floats your boat. I think when you were on 2 weeks ago, Slysssa, we were talking about the dragon that gives all Murlocs Divine Shield as a potential way to change up the Murloc game, and that's a good example of a constructed card I think could work in Battlegrounds.
Yeah, but it would make me sad because I like complaining about how Megazord never comes. How I never get Megazord.
I like complaining about.
Well, then you could just complain about the dragon never showing up.
Yeah, yeah, but if we lost Megazord, we'd all be sad because Megazord's, it's fun when you play it. It's not fun when you face it, obviously. And it really boosts Hook Tusk.
I think
my
the
goodness.
only time I actually like grin, like get a big smile on my face when I grab Megazord is when I'm hate drafting it in the late game.
Oh yeah, like, you can have this. This is mine. It's a
When
beast.
I discover
it goes with my beast comp.
Yeah, when you discover into a 6 tier and it doesn't give you something for your comp, and Megazord's up, and you're just like, all right, let's look at the roster. Oh, someone's going Murlocs. I guess you're not finding this one. Sorry, buddy.
I reduced your chances.
Yep. I won. I'm fairly certain I won a game recently because of hate drafting a Megazord.
You told me never to do that, Garrett. That's how I started
okay,
my Battlegrounds career. And I was like, I'm stealing everything from everyone.
Okay.
And you were like, don't do that. That's terrible.
Because what you just described is terrible. If you're constantly hate drafting everything, you're not drafting for yourself.
But it feels so good.
You know, that's Toki. That's why I'm a bad Toki player. I'm like, take the 6. Like, don't play it. Fine. I never pick Toki.
I got baited so hard by a Xeris that turned into a mama bear, and I like had no beast stuff happening at all. And I was like, that's a mama bear. I gotta play it. I'm gonna
5/5.
Yeah, it's just a 5/5, and I never found another beast. It was just like, oh, I guess I'm dead now. Okay. It happens. It happens to us all. Don't hate draft the entire game, everybody. Unless it makes you, if it makes you happy, I'm not gonna tell you
For someone who doesn't really care too much about her MMR, that is my happy way to play. So, don't take that from me, Garrett.
Antithetical to how you usually behave on the show. You're usually very much like, everyone should have a good time. You're the only person I know that misses the sorry emote because you used it legitimately.
I did legit use the sorry emote.
I'm on the same page.
It's in my blood.
am on the same page. I want to say sorry sometimes. At least like in Battlegrounds, they have the frowny. So like anytime if someone's emoting me and then I accidentally deal damage to them, I give them the sad. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Like, yeah. Battlegrounds have an equivalent.
I'm never sure if people are using that sarcastically, though. At least with sorry, I felt like I could take it like they were actually sorry. But now I'm just like, oh, I think they're sarcastically frowny facing me.
Oh, I know. I use that for real. Like when I feel bad, I'm like, oh, sorry.
Maybe I need to
100 damage.
rethink how I think about frowny faces.
I use the exhaling emote whenever it's really close and I win, because I do mean it legitimately. Like, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So, well, before we move out of Battlegrounds and into this week's news, we have a sponsor to thank today. It is Quip Toothbrushes. They are back sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You should go to getquip.com/TAC right now, because you'll get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. You've heard me talk about before, whether I'm talking about Quip or not, that I am not a morning person. But I have to be. Work with people in different time zones. I have to get my butt out of bed. I don't like doing it, but at least I don't need to worry about like my toothbrush being this disgusting husk of nasty, because I don't want to leave my house to go get a new one, or I don't think to go get a new one when I actually am out of my house. Quip delivers my refills right to my door. It also comes with the battery for my electric toothbrush and toothpaste. I really don't need to think about anything for my own oral hygiene. It's fantastic. On top of the fact that I am so tired in the morning, I wouldn't know what a 2-minute brushing routine would be. And it has a timer built in. It just buzzes every 30 seconds. You change where you're brushing. It stops vibrating when it's done. It's over. You're done brushing your teeth. And even a zombie like me can, keep teeth in the head. It's a nice thing. So you should go check them out. And if you do, go to getquip.com/TAC. If you go right now, you're going to get your first refill for free. That is your first refill free at getquip.com/TAC. That's spelled getquip.com/TAC. Join over 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip, starting at just $25. We thank them for their support. We thank you for going to getquip.com/TAC. And now let's get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Which is a little misleading because there really isn't much news this week. It is a very, very quiet week in Hearthstone, and that's okay. When I'm on the instance where they talk about every Blizzard game under the sun, they're always like, hey, Garrett, what's going on in Hearthstone? I'm like, this, that, the other. And they're like, hey, Patrick, what's going on in Overwatch? You can literally hear crickets. So like having a quiet week in Hearthstone is okay. It is okay. Yeah, that's right. Here's the Storm gets updated way more frequently than Overwatch. What Overwatch fans? Come at me. Yeah, it's it's a little quiet, but we did, while we were collecting questions, since we knew you were going to be coming back on, Slysssa, we did have some folks that were curious about your thoughts on some other things outside of the battleground sphere, kind of including like where your head is at in terms of, where Hearthstone may go with their next update. And so a few, actually it was almost a month ago exactly, because I believe this is our first episode in June, we did kind of a deep dive into that roadmap that they showed when Year of the Phoenix was originally announced. The one with like every icon on Earth.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, this thing. I made a visual layer. Look at me. And so Kilmernock from our Discord wants to know like what your take on like what is the card mechanic update. We also had folks asking about the new game mode, obviously. So we talked about the new game mode a bit. It is still completely shrouded in mystery.
Right.
And I think it's damn near impossible to guess what new mechanics are going to be, because they could be anything.
I thought you were going to say it's impossible to guess what the lock is, because I feel like that little lock there is like, we don't even know what that could be. Like, it's probably not a new game mode because we've got a new game mode icon, but like, what could it be?
Well, and I distinctly have asked folks at Blizzard, like, is Spelllock like a hint for are you just being cheeky and it's just a locked thing? And they're like, we're just being cheeky. Don't read into the spell locked in quotes portion of it too much. But yeah, Like, I think it's weird that card mechanics is even an icon. You know, we were kind of making fun of this when we were going through phase 1, which is like, it feels like they kind of made more icons than they needed to, because new expansions...
They just wanted to fill phase 1.
Yeah, new mechanics usually mean new card mechanics. But Kilmarnock took it in an interesting direction, because Kilmarnock said, you know, do you think they're going to retire any mechanics like Enrage? Stuff like that. And I forgot that had happened in the past. It's been so long since we kind of talked about that.
What if they retired?
They got rid of the name Enrage, but then there's still Enrage mechanics, right? So they just got rid of the keyword.
That's a good point. It doesn't really... It doesn't...
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Because it doesn't really change the effect. Like, the cards are still in the game. They still behave the way Enrage behaved. So it's really just kind of a retiring of a bold word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I assume when it says card mechanics, it's just like with the new expansion will be a new
thing you can do. Yeah.
There's always, whenever, you know, like Outcast came with the last expansion, so I just assumed there's something new. I didn't think that maybe there'd be something new past the new expansion, like new expansion and then in the future something new. I just kind of assumed it would come with the expansion.
That's kind of my thoughts as well. Are there any like keywords or pseudo keywords that you would like them to revisit? You know, something like inspire, like still really...
Or joust.
You nailed it right there. Inspire. I love inspire. Though I know the big complaint these days is random, and technically a lot of the inspires were random, but it was cool. And inspire at the time wasn't that strong.
No, there were only a few that really became meta cards.
Yeah, and I wasn't very good at the game back then either. I just remember I had the one card that every time you inspired, you got a random legendary, I think. Was that the Nexus champion or something like that?
Yeah, Nexus champion Sarad, yeah.
I ran him in every deck. Favorite card. Inspire is my final answer.
There was that like druid, was it a druid one or something? It's like you would inspire and then like get a random murloc or something, and then there was an inspire and your hero would get more attack, and there were some interesting cards there, but yeah, it was so slow because everyone's hero powers were 2, but then what about now that we have a hero power that costs 1? Like, could they never bring inspire back because Demon Hunter would just be too much?
Right. Yeah, and then like with the odd even stuff going on, but that's in Wild now, so you know my thoughts on that.
Wild's still a format.
Not one they run tournaments for, but
I feel so bad for our Wild listeners.
I do too. I think Wild's rad. They gave it a little try with Wild tournaments. I'm assuming it just did not pull in the views that they were hoping for, but
probably
it's rad, man. Wild is a format too. Damn it.
So listen, do you have any thoughts on what you think the new game mode could be? Because basically the only hint that we've gotten is that we're going to be able to use our collection, including our wild cards.
Yes. So I am notorious for dusting all my wild cards.
Oh, I wasn't aware of this.
I keep everything.
Yeah, I like to dust it all because I'm a minimalist, and I like to just be able to have that dust in case I need it. On a whim, I have around 48,000 dust right now. I'm happy with that. But now I don't have my wild cards, and this new mode, you know, we've heard that rumor that you might need your old stuff. That's a little scary for me because I don't have it. But I don't know. I almost wonder if it's like slightly arena oriented because we haven't seen much happen with arena these days. So
it's weird when because they have confirmed it's going to use our collection, but I'm with you too in that I would love to see more limited formats in Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm hoping for one, like I get like Cube is the only thing I can think of that would still utilize your collection in some way, but I don't even know how you would do that. Unless I'd like
It's going to be interesting too, because Gaga Zordon is pointing out in the chat room, I hope they don't require wild cards for the new mode. So it'll be interesting to see if it turns out to be something where like it's probably going to be deck building of some kind, right? If you like randomly choose from your collection, or if you randomly choose from your collection, there's potentially an argument to go in and dust all of the bad cards you've accumulated over the time that Hearthstone's been a thing. Like there's so many interpretations of utilizing your collection and what that could mean. But yeah, I don't think it'll necessarily require it, but I would imagine it would be similar to Constructed in that you maybe won't be able to craft or to play like the best of the best if you don't like have all of the cards, basically.
Right. Yeah.
That's my guess anyways. I still don't know what I'm going to do with them, but how I'm going to use my collection, I've got little ideas, but yeah.
No, so I know this is in phase 2. Are we in phase 2? Is that where we are?
I think we'll
phase
officially
2 starts with the next expansion, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we had revisited the roadmap on an episode a month ago because there were still things in phase 1 that hadn't been fulfilled. They now all have with the Fellfire Festival, the seasonal event, and the adventure were the only 2 like straggler icons in phase 1. So phase 1's done. Everything in phase 1 has been completed. So yeah, I mean, phase 2 technically, should start when the new expansion drops.
Okay.
We're in pre-phase 2.
I see there's more things in phase 3. There's even more icons.
There are even more spell locked
there's 3 locked icons. Yeah, it makes me so angry.
I'm just like, there are 3 things, and we're not going to tell you what they are. And it's just like, it could be anything. It's like, we're going to give you a free card one day, and that's one of these icons. And I'm going to rage about it.
That better not be one of these icons.
That's one of those icons. Yeah, I'm going to freak. I hope one of them
free card one day is not on the same level as a new game mode. I'm sorry, but if you're giving an icon to new game mode, you better be doing more than just giving me a free card.
Oh, I bet you they're big things they're planning to announce at BlizzCon, and so I'm curious. Now you've got me thinking about all kinds of wild things, because they did say that they're going to try and plan some sort of online BlizzCon-esque experience for the beginning of the new year, but I cannot imagine that's going to affect Hearthstone's announcements, because they still got to put out a 3rd expansion this year, regardless of BlizzCon or no BlizzCon.
Right.
So,
Oh, I'm sad no BlizzCon. I miss you guys. I miss seeing people.
I miss people.
I miss leaving the house.
Yes. I would go for the fairly mundane local conventions in Orlando. I would go for one of those at this point. I just want to leave the house, and apparently I think I'm just dying to wait in a line. I think I miss queuing.
Disney, you're going to get to Disney and just like, yay.
Can't wait to wait in line for Pirates of the Caribbean. Can't wait. Yeah, so all right. Well, I guess we'll just keep waiting and wondering what the heck the new game mode is going to be. So, well, before we get into emails, where we have even more questions for you, Slysssa, we have one more sponsor to thank today, and that is Raycon earbuds. For the video audience, I should have reached over here ahead of time, because I got mine right here. Oh yeah, look at them. Yeah.
Yours are black, mine are blue.
Oh, I got black ones. Yeah, well, look at that autofocus. You go, Sony. Good job. I love these things. I've been using the living heck out of them. Folks, if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you saw me I commentated over one of my own Battlegrounds games. My game time has been really sporadic. I don't have time to actually log a proper stream. So when I do play games, I've been trying to hit record. And if I get a good one, I'm going to commentate over it. But that means I can't listen to things on my computer while I'm playing Hearthstone if I want to record the sounds. So I got my Raycon earbuds in the entire time I'm playing Battlegrounds games and recording them so I can get the sounds, but I can also keep up to date on the podcasts that I like to listen to, which are not mine. I hate listening to myself. I can't stand the sound of my own voice. So I've been getting a lot of use out of my Raycons. I messed around with wireless solutions in the past and never found one I liked. So when I got Raycon's earbuds, like I've just been so darn impressed with them. And Joss, as you and I have talked about in the past, we both have horrible experiences pairing with Bluetooth, and these just work. I put them in my ears, a little nice voice goes connected, and it just works. It works every time. I don't know why this is the one Bluetooth device that doesn't fail me, but they did a really good job with it, and the sound quality is amazing. I've only been on one flight this year for obvious reasons, but it was a very, it wasn't a quiet flight, but I only heard things I wanted to hear instead of engines and any cough that would definitely fill me with anxiety. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So go check them out. Their new earbuds, the newest model, the E25 are the best ones yet with 6 hours of playtime. You put them right back in the case. The case itself holds a charge. The bass in these things are really impressive. I'm surprised how much bass they get out of them. And you're going to get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/TAC. That's buyraycon.com/TAC for 15% off your Raycon wireless earbuds. So go check them out, buyraycon.com/TAC. We thank them for their support. And now let's wrap the show up with your emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're a patron, you can just drop us a message in the Discord. Skip the inbox entirely. And Torby Flenderson wrote in and says, hey, everyone, first of all, big thanks to the three of you, especially Slysssa, for the advice. Your comments definitely helped me get perspective on where I was in Battlegrounds and get back in a positive headspace. I tried a couple of the things you suggested, and thanks to some help from Edwin, Patches, and Hooktusk, within a week I was able to climb back up about 1,500 to break 6K for the first time. Between that and hitting Platinum Standard for the first time, I'm feeling pretty good. Speaking of Hooktusk, though, she feels super OP, especially in the early game. Continuing with your conversation about her from last week, do you anticipate a balance change to her hero power, or is it too soon? If they did change it, would a better change be making it one cost or making it unusable against tier 1 minions since there is no tier 0? Or do you have some other idea, or even just leaving her out for a bit? Or sorry, for evening her out a bit. I read that wrong.
No, see, Garrett, you just had a little Freudian slip there. You want to leave her out. You want her gone.
I don't think she's too bad.
Yeah, she can keep Tyrion company.
And Bran, don't forget about Bran. I miss Bran. I feel like Bran was the last time I was excited about battle cries. The hero, obviously not the card. Yes, there was a time you could play if you like it because it was a hot second. If you missed it, Battlegrounds players, there was a Bran hero. I've been thinking about this a lot because everyone is talking about Hooktusk. I feel like Hooktusk is really the hot topic in regards to Battlegrounds. Thankfully, everyone stopped talking about canon. We had a short talk the last time you were on Slysssa about how everyone needs to just stop talking about canon. It's not that good. And now everyone has been
and it worked.
Yes, it did. Apparently, we did it. You're welcome, Battlegrounds conversationalists. But Hooktusk is definitely the hot topic, and I just want to remind everyone that if you're the type that looks at statistics to gain your thoughts and opinions about what is broken, what is not broken, Eudora is right there, neck and neck with Hooktusk for average placement on HS Replay. They are like handily above the next tier of heroes in their average placement, which starts with, I believe, Daryl, the last time I checked today. So, and there's a decent gap between them because both Hooktusk and Eudora are in the threes, like the low threes. I think I checked this morning, and Hooktusk was 3.7 and Eudora was 3.8. And then everyone else starts in the fours and moves down from there with pretty close divides between them. So, but where's your head at on Hooktusk, Slysssa?
Too strong.
Okay, easy. Next question.
Done.
Let's go.
Like days where I'm offered Eudora and Hooktusk, oh man, I gained so much MMR. And days where I'm never offered them, then I hope I'm offered Sir Finley so I can try and get them again because they're just so good. But I would agree where you have to put Eudora in the same field. I think the issue with Eudora is, at least what I'm seeing, is people aren't understanding how to curve Eudora properly, like when to start hero powering, which my opinion is you hero power turn 1 with Eudora no matter what. And I always get top 2 with her. Both broken in my opinion. I made a tier list recently. They were S tier. Everyone else was do not pick. I think you could pick Daryl or Maev, but no, they're way above everyone else. And so the question is like, how do you nerf this? It's hard to say. I think the problem with, I kind of like the thought of like you can't hero power in 1 drop, because that's the issue, is the tokens. The tokens is the biggest issue because you're able to get all these extra battle cries, you're able to get all these extra minions, and then you can just power level because you have all this economy, this gold, and power level to your triples and just build a late game really fast. So I think maybe not being able to target 1 drops would be good. The hard thing with that is you have to think of how do they write that out in the hero power. You can't make a hero power verbiage too confusing. So we'd have to say like can't target 1 drops. I think that's the best option for her, make her more fair. And I get the 1 cost as well, but I think I like can't target one drops. I think it would make her still really powerful, but not OP like she is right now.
Yeah, I usually like I've just been worn down more and more on I guess overly complex writing in Hearthstone. Like when it first started, right. I was playing Magic and I was like, just put a book on the card, explain exactly how it works. But
that's why I don't play Magic. I hate words. Words hard. I don't like them.
Words are the worst.
Yeah, and I do not play Magic because I don't like reading. If I only want to read Twitch, chat, and Twitter, and anything else I don't want to read. So I totally agree.
Don't want to read that either. So
no, too many words.
I'll stick to comics and Star Wars books. Oh, geez. Yeah, both of them I think need to be worked on a bit. The Maev's rise is puzzling me, but I also haven't had her really offered to me, and I feel like when I do, I'm going to absolutely drop the ball with Maev because I have no idea how she works. I think you recently did a video, didn't you?
Yeah, I just made a YouTube about how she works. The best way I could explain it right now is that she's targeted Rafam. Like Rafam hero powers every turn, right? Because every time you hero power, you get a minion. We'll do the same thing. Every time you hero power, you get a minion. Now you have to wait a turn, but that means that you can plan things out ahead. So you can start hero powering pairs. And sometimes I'll be offered a triple, but I'll just start hero powering them so that in the 2 turns that I want to get to the triple, I can spend those 2 turns leveling so I can get to the 5 or the 6 drop or something like that. So you're just using your economy on a whole different curve, and it's more considered Rafam's curve. How I'd explain it.
Gotcha. Man, your Battlegrounds brain is like galaxy brain compared to mine. Like, I would never think to like not just grab my triple because it's gold and shiny and pretty, and of course I want it. Like,
right. Yeah, the game that I put on the YouTube was like very interesting because I was being offered. I had like 1 minion, and I hero powered the double, and then offered the triple, and I just like just kept hero powering it because I knew, okay, I'll get this in 2 turns. And by then I could level to what I want. Because you don't always just need the triple right away. You want something better. Because people who undervalue leveling and getting to higher tier minions usually struggle. So that's like, really thinking out those plays and not playing on autopilot. So my Ev is a hero that if you play on autopilot, she might be harder to play.
Yeah.
I very much I love the strategies that let me, get to 5 and 6 as quick as possible. Like Alexstrasza is probably my favorite hero in
Right.
Battlegrounds. She's so fun.
I learned something new with her. You might like this. If you grab the 3/3 that gives you 3 gold when you sell it, grab 2 of those. And then when you level to 4, then you sell the 2 and you can level to 5.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta go spam Battlegrounds
You need
until I get
to.
Alexstrasza.
But if you see 2, grab them because you can just level from 3 to 5.
The scratching sound
man,
you hear are
that's so
both
good.
hosts of the Angry Chicken taking notes right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially me. I have a crap win rate with Alexstrasza. And
I usually get first or second with her. I love her, but I feel like it's like her payoff is so big for playing that style of a game, which is why I gel with her so well. But then anytime I try any other hero and try to do that same thing, it's just I lose way too much health and then, just die.
I don't understand the style with Alexstrasza when every single time I finally get the hero power to pop, I get tier 1 dragons.
Well, that's just old school Garrett luck. That's,
I never get good luck with Alex. But I go up against the Alexstrasza, always has Caligos every time.
Yep.
How about, you got to collect pairs on the way. It's just about collecting pairs of dragons, right? Because then you're offered the 1 drop, but you had a pair of them, so it triples into the Caligos.
Yeah, so there, Garrett. Stop complaining about your luck and just get good.
Get pairs.
My strategy is play around being offered poor minions for the entire payoff of the hero power. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I don't like Alexstrasza any better after that description, but I will give it a shot. So, Joss, who's our second and final question come from today? Or looks like set of questions.
It's kind of a series of questions. So I'm going to do them one at a time. But these came in from King Dupless, who says, I have a couple of short questions. Do you think Battlegrounds should get cosmetics you can buy with either gold or real money? I know I'd love to see Bob in various fancy portraits myself because he wants Pirate Bob, please.
Oh, Pirate Bob. I would pay for that too.
I am down for Fancy Bob.
Oh, Fancy Bob. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want Rob. Rob is his mean brother. He's like, just negative attitude. Like, are you sure about that? Like,
is Ralph Rob's pet?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
I love this Slysssa Battlegrounds world. There's so much lore here.
You should start a wiki. So Ralph
I need to definitely write my own book about it because people get so confused when they first tune in. They're like, what? Who's Ralph?
We had some questions in the Discord after your last episode. They're like, I have never heard it called a Ralph comp. Does that stand for something? No.
It's one of those classic comments too that you get that oh, they're sending this as they're listening because a minute later the same commenter was like, oh wait, she just explained it.
And I apologize because I'm so bad at names, so I just name everything myself, and it's not the best strategy, especially as a streamer. But I guess when you create your own storylines, I call Soul Juggler Sapper Dapper Ding Dong.
Obviously, I mean, who wouldn't understand that?
It makes sense.
Sapper Dapper Ding Dong.
Where's my ding dong?
Good.
Then you get in trouble.
Oh, that's great. Oh, you shouldn't. That's hilarious. True Villain Manny in chat room wanting to know if we're still doing phrasing. And yes,
always,
the answer is always yes, Manny. Yes, we are. By the way, anyone listening, because of the music I've worked into our Battlegrounds bumper, I want Ska Bob. Can we get Bob in like a pork pie hat with like some Ray-Bans and a white and black checkered shirt? Can we do that? Maybe playing a saxophone?
I like it.
What do we think about cosmetics based on like wins like we have over in Constructed with golden portraits? Like what if once I had, 50 or 100 or however many Battlegrounds wins with Alex Straza, and it could be, whether fourth or first or however they wanted to do it, like are we down for golden heroes?
100%.
Totally.
I like that.
I feel like it'd be really difficult with heroes, or the number would need to be low-ish.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I don't think you could kind of do the 500 wins thing because that would take forever.
Yeah, and also the fact that they
because
rotate.
You can't really target heroes, right?
Because they rotate heroes out as well, and like I'd be bummed like if I had gotten like Golden Brand. Like, I got Golden Brand, and they're like, he's gone. No, he's coming back, right? And here I am like 3 months later and there's still no brand. Like, that would be a little feel bad.
Yeah. But I always like the cosmetic stuff. So I like the thought of gold heroes, and I like the thought of being able to spend gold or money on like changing up your board or something like that. Or like, cause there's no card backs in Battlegrounds. So
right.
I would like that. I think it would make it interesting. Now, I don't think
I like the idea of stuff you can kind of show off to other people too. Because if you think of like skins in any other game that, have these kind of like little micro cosmetic transactions, they're all around, when you get in a game with somebody else, you can, show yourself off. And if you're just changing boards and bobs, then you're not necessarily showing that off to other people, which is why my head goes to like golden heroes for wins. But you could do so much more than that, even if you just paid for like hats or deal with it glasses or something to go over top.
I like that. I don't think you can change the look of the hero too much because there's already so many heroes to think about. There's like there's over 40 right now or something. And so if you think from a casual perspective, when they that it's way too hard to remember all those heroes from a casual perspective and then know what the different ones look like. In standard, it's different because there's only 10 heroes. So you can have different looks to them. But I agree, you could do something like a hat or something.
Yeah, what if it only applied like not in the like leaderboard down the left hand side, but what if it's like only when you went into the match against or like into the like combat phase against the person? It's like you still would have your recognizable 8 down the side, but then once you got into somebody's custom combat phase, then you'd be like, oh, whoa, look at the cool board or look at the cool, like hat or whatever that they put on their hero, so that you still have the competitive advantage of knowing or recognizing the hero portraits, but still the fun when you get to the phase where you can't really impact things anyways.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I could see that. It reminds me of just like how often I forget to check what Sir Finley is. Do you see the hero on the side?
I always forget that. And
like,
you don't want to necessarily change his hero portrait because he still is Sir Finley, but I wish there was some way to just be like, oh, right, he's different every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
My shame just from this week is I actually forgot to pay attention to going against Rafam on turn 3 in a game. And I haven't done that in so long. And I'm so mad at myself because I gave that bastard a minion of Azoth. I was so mad at myself.
Man, Garrett.
We should start a new segment on the show, by the way, called My Hearthstone Shame, where we just say our biggest misplay that we remember from the past week.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Constructed, Arena, Wild, Battlegrounds. It is format agnostic. Just wherever you messed up this week, bring a story to tag.
Oh, so many names.
Seriously, go make a bumper. Look, seriously. The second question from King Dupless is, do you think that MMR in Battlegrounds should be reset or rolled back each expansion cycle or season?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on MMR in general? Because I mean, like, there's been so much conversation around ladder and constructed. I think in terms of the hidden MMR, and I always point to Battlegrounds as something that I love because I can see it. But I don't know if it should be necessarily reset or not. Are we at the point of ridiculous numbers?
I like the thought of seasonal reset. Just to have like a goal. But I don't like monthly because I think with Battlegrounds, there's just so much progress you can make, but it's a lot harder to make that progress in a month span. So I like the
I don't even like the monthly reset in standard and wild. Like I wish that was a seasonal thing too, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels like something more you can like work on to accomplish instead of just like, grind as high as you possibly can and then whoop back to zero. Like
yeah. So I like the thought of seasonal. I like the thought of not going all the way back to 4,000. So I kind of like a maybe mini drop for everyone. So like everyone loses 1,000 or 2,000. Like anyone like 6,000 gets dropped to 4, 8 gets dropped to 6, something like that. But anyone above 11 gets, I don't know. I think there's some sort of way you could do it where it's just kind of.
What about maybe like percentage wise? I don't know what the best percentage would be, but it seems like, punishing somebody at 4,000 by losing 2,000 at a reset, like that's huge. Right. That's half your points,
never drop
right?
anyone below 4,000. I would say like if you can't get dropped below 4, and if you're below 4, but then if you move people below 4 up, then they might struggle a bit more, which would be upsetting. So it's so confusing. But I guess like for me, I like having a goal. And right now it feels stale, but it's hard for me to say that because I play it so often, and I know I need to put my head in like the casual game space. Like for the casual player, what do they think? Are they feeling like stuck in a plateau? It's because if there's a mass amount of people stuck in a plateau, that's where it's really important, I think, to have resets. But if there's people who are like just keep a good amount of people like to see that progressive climb, then it's different. So I think it would help with that plateau feeling for people, though.
Do you feel like you've plateaued a little bit in MMR? Because I feel like there's some people, like you mentioned RDU off the top of the show, and I think there was a couple of others that kind of like hit that 14K magic number, but I've seen like a lot of streamers are kind of in the 10 to 11K range. Like those 14Ks seem like outliers. Does that seem like an achievable goal for you, or are you just kind of like, nah, I live at 11 and that's cool?
It's so hard because once you get to high MMR, you it's harder to gain because you're more likely facing people below you, so you're gaining less, and when you lose, you're losing more. So it's one of those things that like if you get 8th, I could lose 120, but if I get first, I can gain 80, and you're just like, oh, this feels really bad, and so you just feel very stuck. And I'm also the type of person who does not try hard at all times. In fact, there's many times I'm like, let's go Pogo Hook Tusk and try to jam that. Which can be detrimental.
I know those feels.
Yeah.
I definitely dropped like 1K since Pirates just because I'm finding stupid fun things and, like having another glass of wine and going, I can make this work.
Yeah, this would be great.
Spoiler alert, I could not make it work.
Right.
And the wine worked though, and that's the important part.
Yeah, the wine worked, exactly.
There's no casual mode, right? MMR is always affected, no matter what. There's no mode you can play. So then you have to make Smurf accounts. So for me, I'm just in this weird phase where I made a Smurf account. Well, now my Smurf account's higher than my normal account. So now that's my normal account. And now I'm playing on my Smurf off stream, or my old new, but now that's becoming higher again. And then it's also confusing. I kind of just feel I would like to get to that outlier number, but I also feel like I'm having challenges because of my want to meme. I want to make a crazy comp on stream, like, oh, I'm going to make this crazy YouTube video out of this if I'm successful. And then it doesn't go well and I lose all my ranks that day. So I don't know. I also started Battlegrounds way later than most streamers, so I feel slightly behind, but I feel like maybe at this point I should have caught up by now. Maybe that's like a bad excuse.
I mean, the way the MMR works, it makes a lot of sense. It is mathematically difficult to climb. Because of the disparity in what you're gaining versus what you're losing.
I think it'd be really good content if everyone got set back. again, this is from the content creator side. If everyone got set, then we could have like a rat race. Who's going to get to this number first again? So
the gamification of ladder systems, be it, you know, the new constructed one, the old constructed ladder system, the current battleground system, it is so fascinating because like, I don't know, it cannot be an easy thing. I bet this is like endlessly debated on the Blizzard team, right? It's like, well, what are they really trying to accomplish? Because they want it to be a fun experience for as many players as possible, right? Like that's probably the most basic level of an agreeable statement we can come up with to what the team wants to do, right? Like, but there's so many different ways so many different directions they could go.
And like, do you reward grinding? Do you reward consistency? And how do you kind of measure that so that people understand what they're rewarding? Because I know rewarding grinding, a lot of people do not like, because people don't have time to grind, but they might be one of the best players, and you can't show that unless you're like in a tournament setting or something. So
oh yeah, I mean that's that's where you get your like hashtag streamer privilege from, right? Like there is a pushback against streaming culture by like non-streaming gamers, and I can understand that to a certain degree. Hell, I have that feeling sometimes because I like playing all the Blizzard games. That's why I've got a show about damn near every Blizzard game. Like I like playing different games, but the grind is real sometimes.
Yeah, if you want to like look, you know, you can't just be in the top if you can't put in the same amount of hours. So I don't like that, the rewarding grinding, I guess.
That's my life. Why are you only this rank in Heroes of the Storm? Why are you only this MMR in Hearthstone? I'm like, well, what's your rank in all of these games?
I'm a decathlete. I do them all.
It could be really interesting, I think, because they've already experimented on the constructed side with multipliers. What if you come first in your previous lobby, whatever your MMR is in the next lobby, like whatever points you gain is like either maybe not multiplied, because then if you like lose points, you wouldn't want multiplied like lost points, but you know, like somehow if your previous result, like your previous lobby, influenced the amount of points that you might get in your next one. So if you come first, like you get a big bonus for you know, doing well twice in a row or something. Or maybe if you come first, then you know, you come 8th in the next one, that loss isn't as potent, maybe.
But so for that, I'd be worried that like it would reward you for getting lucky and getting a hook tusk or something like that. Because there is some like discrepancy on hero power right now. Like the you know.
Let's pretend that Eudora and Hook Tusk get rotated out. Then would it be okay to do a battleground multiplier of some kind for winning your previous lobby?
I could see maybe something like that. Because like right now there is, so from my understanding with the MMR, there's a bunch of different calculations they use. And I think they do use things like that. They use stuff like, okay, you're beating out people we think you should be losing to, so we're going to give you a little bump in points. So you sometimes see more points because of that. So that might already be in the algorithm. It's hard to say because the algorithm, I think, is bigger than we realize.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to speculate on what they should do when we're not 100% sure what they're doing right now.
To me, it just comes down to like the reset question here that King Dupless is asking. Like I have an answer for you. Please, for the love of God, not every month. Like that's my answer. Like
that's
I
too
really
often.
don't want that.
Like every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see something like the levels kind of like Standard has. The platinum.
So like a bronze, silver, gold thing.
Yeah, because I know they had that in other auto battlers. Because I know I played Underlords and you played Auto Chess and TFT.
Yeah.
Like I think they all had that. So.
Yeah, Auto Chess was like the different chess pieces was your rank.
Right. So I just think like saying like a number like I'm 11,700 like doesn't sound cool.
I love the numbers though.
I like it. I
like numbers? Wow.
I like it in specifically.
I'm a math teacher. I think that sounds kind of nerdy. I want to say I'm platinum. I don't know.
I like that it's this kind of just big chunk of numbers that I just chip away at. Like I like that it's this thing, and I don't know. There's so much. There's so many numbers in your MMR number compared to like I'm plat 1 or diamond 3, and it's just like
what if? I wish because we don't have rank floors in battlegrounds like they. And so if you had those like groupings like plat and diamond and stuff and saying you can't fall below your floor, I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Think of losing 2,500.
Let me meme and don't take away my bonus stars. Like can happen in ladder.
Yes.
Well, and that kind of would solve the no casual mode, right? Because then it's like every time you hit a MMR floor, whether it's a number or a color, you know, when you hit that floor, then you can be like, oh, okay, I could just mess around now. It's cool. Yeah. And then when I want to climb, I can climb. But otherwise, you know, I've reached this stopping spot where I can just have fun.
Yeah. And you can pick maybe different heroes that you wouldn't normally pick.
Yeah.
Pick
you
Queen
could practice. That's the other thing. Oh man, because that's what I find when like new heroes come out, or if I just kind of like default to the ones I know best. Like I played so many like AFK and Daryl games and then Alex Straza games because I'm like, I feel comfortable with these ones and I don't want to mess up my MMR. Like I feel like I can win like top 4 with these heroes. So then I don't play the new hotness, or if I do, I get super punished and, you know, I just come 8th and that feels bad.
Yes. I get that.
Or they just get more money from me for a tavern pass on the EU server.
Which will now become your main account because you climb more with that one.
I was free to play it on EU, and then they lowered the price of the tavern pass, and I was like, cool, I guess I have 2 accounts with 4 options for heroes. Don't know why $9 made a difference to me, or $10, but it did.
But it did.
It did. I have 2 tavern passes now. So, well, Dupless, Torby, everybody who sent in a question today across the whole episode, we kind of peppered them throughout. Thank you so much for doing so. If you want to be a part of the show, tacpodcast@gmail.com is where you can do so. And again, if you're a patron, just drop us a message in the Discord. That's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Speaking of those patrons, if you want to become one, head on over to patreon.com/TAC. And big thanks to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. Thank you very much for the support, you two. The whole back catalog of episodes is over at amove.tv, so if you want to go all the way back to an old episode and listen to us talk about something that is somewhat relevant, I guess, if you're interested in cards that are probably wild legal only, go for it. Or maybe you're brushing up on your old cards for that mysterious new game mode. Who knows? Who knows? Go check it out, amove.tv. Before we go, Slysssa, you're our guest this week. Where can everyone find you and your awesome Hearthstone content?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Slysssa. That's spelled SLYSSSA. I stream every day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I also am building up a YouTube. I post to YouTube every day at youtube.com/SlyssaHS. Remember, there are 3 S's consecutively in Slysssa, 4 total. And I also have a Twitter and an Instagram that you can find me at.
Go check it out. I'm going to have to watch that Maya video because I need help.
Yes.
Joss, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. That's JOCE Plays. That's it.
Sweet. Garrett Art on Twitter, for amove.tv for every podcast I produce. This one included. Go check it out. I'll be talking May in Heroes of the Storm on Into the Nexus tomorrow. So go give that a listen. It's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Joss forgot this time.
I did. It's because I got pinged in chat room. You screwed me up. Yeah, Slysssa was on it. I totally just fucked it.
I just stopped recording. I wish I could have would have gotten me cussing at the end there. I would have used it as a stinger after. Oh, that's great. Slysssa, again, thanks for joining us. You were great. Chat room, you were hilarious today.
Yeah, chat room, you were great.
Stifled many a laugh during the show.
I totally don't tune out Garrett when he's talking about all the awesome projects he's working on, guys. Totally don't.
100%. Definitely. I'm looking at chat room right now. I don't see an @Joss Plays mention, so I don't know what the shit you're talking about.
No, it was the emote, and because I have it set to highlight messages when it says Joss or Joss Plays or anything instead of just the @ So yeah,
Wait, how do you do that?
it's add-on stuff.
Oh, I need that because no one spells my name right.
Just to set it for anything with S's in it.
Yeah. Then it's tournament it said Slysssa. I started tagging all my stuff as Slysssa now. Like on YouTube for my tags, I'm like Slysssa with 2 S's, Slysssa with 3 S's, Slysssa with 2 S's, Slysssa with 3 S's. I don't know how they're gonna look me up.
I thought I had it bad, man, because everyone calls me either Josie Plays or Jose Plays. I'm like, it's Joss. It's short for Jocelyn. I know that it's like, I know it doesn't look how it sounds in my head, but yeah, I like to the point that I've been tempted to just change it to JOSS just so people understand how to say it.
Yeah. That's, when people try to abbreviate my name, they spell it SLY. I'm like, that's a sly.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to abbreviate Slysssa, it'd be
Slysssa.
Slysssa. But then I find out that a lot of people pronounce my name Slysssa, especially Australians. So, Slysssa.
That sounded vaguely German.
It did. Slysssa.
Germans too, yes. That was more Australian or Austrian than Australian. My bad.
Christ.
Accents are not my specialty.
I've been watching Schitt's Creek, and there is a Jocelyn in that show, so I'm just hearing your name constantly.
She's probably the worst. She's probably the worst.
No, she's
because
great.
Anytime there's ever been a Jocelyn in like pop culture, they're always the worst.
Jocelyn in Schitt's Creek has like a heart of gold.
Jocelyn in Bob's Burgers. Oh, she's so terrible.
I just love the way that Tammy says her name because she's always like, Jocelyn.
Right?
I can't tell you how many times I have thought to myself I should grab some sound bites of Tammy from Bob's Burgers saying Jocelyn and use them in the podcast, but I never go out of my way to actually go record them.
Yeah.
Every time I watch the show now, and she's like, Alexis, my Alexa's like, yes. My Alexa turns on.
Are you talking about Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
That literally happened yesterday.
Yes. Your Alexa's like, yeah.
Katie, my wife, she works close enough. She comes home for lunch every day, and and Schitt's Creek is just long enough to eat lunch while watching a show, and freaking this triggered our Alexa yesterday. We're like, why the shit is our kitchen talking? And, yeah, it just happened yesterday. It's the first time for some reason it happened while watching Schitt's Creek. So it's hysterical that you mentioned that.
A great show.
Yep. All right, chat. I'm going to bring the stream down now so we can get the show posted. You've been great. Thanks for hanging. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Oh, I'm out of frame. There's my hand.